Go right into it, man. We're not even going to be la di da di da. Y'all know this tables, ladders, and conversations with Deremy Dove and Tim Lewis, and there's so much to talk about because about the actual Elimination Chamber event and what went down there. But even if you watched our preview show, I think Tim and I, it was a combination. We are Nostradamus here because we know what's up. I think we see the future when it comes to WWE. That's just my not so humble opinion, but Tim Lewis, man, I'm gonna let you go first before we get into all the individual matches. What were just your overall thoughts from Elimination Chamber 2026?
Man, where do I begin to start? um, I just feel like they left more to be desired, and I feel like I expected a lot more, and I feel like they kind of dropped the ball in some areas. I do feel like this we're on the road. I mentioned on the episode before this, like, the road to WrestleMania has been kind of mid. I can't lie. It's been kind of lackluster since the Rumble. You would think we'd be excited. We're getting CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the main event. Like, it did generate some buzz. It got people talking. I'm sure that'll be a great match. But it hasn't really been a whole lot to like really wow me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is WrestleMania season. This is supposed to be the one of the best, runs of the WWE calendar. Um, and I just feel like, and after last night, it was just kind of up and down. There was some great moments though. It were some great moments. I'm not gonna say it was all bad. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I just feel like they could have did a lot more. Jeremy, how'd you feel about the PLE last night?
It was, I think you're right, a lot left to be desired.
Yeah.
They hit the mark in I'm still intrigued. I think a big thing about the PLE, I want exciting matches and stuff to happen, but I want to feel excitement carried into the next week's, television of Raw and SmackDown. They did do that where I am intrigued to watch Raw Monday night, SmackDown Friday night with certain things at the end that makes me go, okay. And I feel like I know where they're going to go, but there's some twist that might be coming. But as far as the matches, I think it was some choices that were made that I can say for me, I was maybe wrong on, like, especially for the ladies, on who they picked. It wound up being okay, but I still felt like it was wrong on who started what and like some of the orders. So I feel like, okay, I can admit where maybe they weren't too off on like certain selections, but then they kind of dropped the ball on how it was scripted out, in my opinion. So like a lot of the matches were very like mid and disappointing, but did enough to keep me intrigued for the upcoming TV show. And I'm not like throwing in the towel on the road to WrestleMania. I'm still interested, but I'm kind of like right now.
Yeah, we'll see. We still got like 6 or 7 more weeks to build up to Mania, so we'll see how they carry. They still got time to redeem themselves. But yeah, man, I feel like it could have been a lot more. And we'll just get into it. Like you mentioned, like the women's elimination chamber match. That kicked off the show. You mentioned like the order of how certain things happen and who went out first and stuff. Like, I don't know about you, I was shocked that Alexa Bliss, went out first in the chamber. How'd you feel about that?
I was surprised too. I thought Alexa, especially because of how she was performing. I thought Alexa, this was the best I've seen her look in a few years early on. She was coming out doing some good moves, showed like that classic Alexa Bliss. And I would have liked to have seen her continue a little bit more. So I guess we can get right. Let's start with the women's elimination chamber. We'll go right there. I can admit where I was wrong. Having Asuka in it was helpful.
Mm.
It was very helpful. And I could tell you where it was helpful was Tiffy time and Miss James starting the match. It was kind of like whatever. And I know it's really weird, kind of like the first two in the Royal Rumble. That can be good, but that can be hit or miss, right? And sometimes it's like, okay, you kind of, oh yeah, the clock and like someone comes into the Rumble, that third person, and sometimes you're just looking like, when would that? This is boring. That's what I felt last night when the first two started with Tiffy and Kiana James. It was like ugh. When Asuka comes in, she brought an intensity, and from there on, the match kind of went up for me. But so I was like, you know what? I was wrong. Asuka brought, which I don't know if we said maybe Lash could have brought it, but Asuka brought an urgency with her moves, a devastation with her moves that really, to me, amped up the match and was like, ah, this is needed.
Yeah, for sure. Asuka, she must have heard our previous show or something like that. But she definitely brought in that energy that was definitely needed. I do feel like maybe they wanted to have Kiana start out just to see what she can do, see if she can hang with a top girl like Tiffany. I mean, she had an impressive showing in the Rumble. I feel like she did okay in the Chamber. You know what I'm saying? But you know, um, yeah, it's just like the energy just wasn't there. You know what I'm saying?
She did. I don't look at her. I look at Tiffany Stratton.
Mm.
Tiffany Stratton was the worst of the six to me in the women's
Mm.
elimination chamber match.
Mm.
She was number six, and it made me feel okay with the decision. I'm glad they did not go with her.
Yeah.
And I like Tiffany Stratton. I am a fan, but there's something with her where she's not consistent enough for me yet in her performances. Like she has matches where I'm like, yeah, she's got it, she's carrying it, and then there's other matches that fall flat. And last night fell very flat to me from her. Like I think I looked to her to lead Kiana James, and she didn't do that. And then Kiana James brought it when she, spears Asuka, and then she kind of showed like some stuff there, and she took some big bumps with Raquel, so it was good. Like I thought Kiana James, I liked her. I was wrong about both of them, about Kiana James and Asuka, but Tiffany Stratton to me kind of fell flat, and Asuka saved Tiffany, not Kiana James.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And I can admit I was wrong about Oscar and Kiana too. But I was kind of hopeful. I was, like, hey, I'm gonna see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And Kiana, just because of how impressive Kiana looked in the Rumble, so I'm like, I'm gonna give her a chance. But yeah, Tiffany Stratton, you gotta remember, like, she didn't like grow up in the business, and she kind of just came from like being a gymnast, so she wasn't like really a fan. Like she had to pick this up on the fly. And to her credit, she has picked it up and she's been successful. But it's all about what did she learn from it? How is she adapting her style? How is she able to change things on the fly when something goes wrong? And she's had some good matches, as we've seen in the past, but she's had some not so good matches either. Like we go back to WrestleMania last year with Charlotte and how that whole broke down came about. But then she turns around, she might have a good match with Trish Stratus or with Jay Cargill.
Yeah, she had an awesome match at SummerSlam last year.
Yeah, her
I
her and
thought it was
Jade.
real.
Yeah, her
Yeah,
and yeah, her and Jade. People don't get that enough credit. Like those ladies, they went tore it down low key.
I agree, but I felt like because in the beginning I was when it was Kiana James and Tiffany Stratton, I'm like, well, who's like not bringing it? Kiana was bringing it throughout the rest of the night, though. When while the other ladies kept getting involved, she took her bumps really well. Tiffany Stratton was kind of like an afterthought, and it made me feel like yes, I'm glad we were wrong in our predictions
Yes.
because I'm much more excited to see. I would have loved to seen Raquel. And we'll get to Raquel in a minute. But if I had to choose between Rhea versus Jade or Tiffany versus Jade again, give me Rhea versus Jade all day.
I second that. I agree with that, man. Yeah, I just feel like, and also the fact that I know she didn't get her guaranteed one-on-one rematch against Jade, but the momentum pretty much died from that feud. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we can kind of just put that to bed, at least for right now.
Right.
The hype just wasn't there for that. And you could kind of hear in the crowd like they weren't really feeling it either. Like, yeah, they were chanting Tiffy time in the beginning, but once it got down to like the final three, even the final two, like they wasn't really feeling Tiffany time like that. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they kind of hit pause on Tiffany time for a second, like the clock had stopped for just a second. Because and I do feel like they did make the right call. Even though I picked Tiffany to win, I do feel like they made the right call with that. And even looking at Raquel's performance, like you can make a case that she should have at least, at the very least, been in the final two. You know,
She should have been in the final two.
or won the thing. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think she
So
should have won the thing. I think I had said on our preview show who should win. Raquel is doing it. It's her time. This was a huge night for me. I'm all in on Raquel. I've been, and now I'm going to double down because boy, oh boy, does she look like? Because to me, she doesn't always look like a powerhouse at times. Sometimes I forget it because she is bigger and stronger than Rhea, than Bianca Belair, and I'm like, at times they make those two look more powerful than Raquel. And I've been starting to see it recently where like, okay, they're showing it right. And last night was it where it's like she's on the par with Lash, with Anaya Jax, with a Jade as far as being tall, being strong and powerful like that. And they showed it last night because she just ran roughshod over anyone. There's power moves you can do, but it's how believable and how smoothly you execute them. And that's what I thought last night. She was put in some tough positions to take somebody kind of dangling there and to use that power to like turn it into a power move that was powerful and impactful, and that you could be like, ooh, if you were in the United Center last night, or if you were like us at home watching TV, you went, ooh, I felt that. And I mean, when she picked up Kiana James and slammed her through that pod, that was a slam heard around the world, man. And just how cool was it, the double pin? Like, how often do we see that? Like, we rarely see that. And to see a woman do that in the women's elimination chamber match, I think if you don't think it's Raquel's time right now, I think it is, but I agree with you. That final two should have been Raquel and Rhea, who Raquel was she was making Rhea look like, you know, a little plaything in there. Like, she was just so powerful and awesome. She was my MVP of the night.
Absolutely, MVP. If Lash Legend was the MVP of the Women's Rumble, Raquel Rodriguez was definitely the MVP of the Women's Elimination Chamber. Um, and racking up 2 eliminations at the same time, looking like a force. And you know what that comes from, right?
Where?
So not too long ago, Kevin Nash, he gave her like a little bit of advice, and I know he's like hit or miss as far as getting advice if you follow the news lately. You know what I'm saying? That's a topic for another time and stuff.
No,
But
yeah, a different episode.
yeah, but Kevin Nash, every now and again, he might say something good, and this is one of them. He gave her some advice saying he told her to work more like she's big, you know what I'm saying? Like she's a giant. Work like a giant, basically, because she is taller than a lot of the girls on
Yeah,
the
legit,
roster.
legit 6 feet.
So she should work like she's a 7 footer, like she's a Kane, like she's a Big Show, a female counterpart to them. And she has been working like that lately. If you've been watching her body of work the past year or so, she's working like, like a big giant, like a force, where you gotta like really chop her down just to get her down. Like before she would like go down easily, like she would take like simple clotheslines or something like that. Now it's like you gotta got hit her a couple times, you gotta chop the legs. Like
Right.
she's working smart, like for like one of the big men, how they work and stuff like that. And that's all from that simple like comment, that little advice from Kevin Nash, because he's also a taller wrestler himself.
Yeah, he's legit 6'9".
Yeah, so he knows the playbook, and that little observation, that little advice, that changed her game, and you see the result, and it paid
Yeah,
off. It paid dividends.
and I think you're right. It's been a year, but I feel like even more recently, it's been, yeah, she's fully got it because there's been a combination of her improving as far as like her character and being like funny, but like that enforcer for the Judgment Day and all those things. She's been doing that great. But I felt like for a while, to your point, you would get moments where you realize like she was one of the few people, as someone who's obsessed with height, which I can admit I am, like of all people, where I'd be like, oh yeah, I would forget she, like with Nia Jax, I never forget how tall she is and how imposing. With Lash Legend, with Jade, you get it. With Raquel, it was a weird thing of like, yeah, like last night even, it was like, yeah, she is much taller than Rhea Ripley. It doesn't feel like that all the time in the past, but we get that. Like now, yeah, you are a giant. Rhea Ripley, even at her peak strength, you should be able to throw her around in the ring, and you did that. And I love that. Like consistently working. So kudos to Kevin Nash and for Raquel for listening to
Yes.
be consistently be showing that power because man, oh man, I'm hoping Triple H and everybody else backstage saw what we were seeing. And I do think it was a mistake to not have her in the final two because what did Tiffany even bring? Like, she just was not, you didn't need her in the final two. And I don't think if Tiffany was not in the final two, she loses momentum, her character. I think she would have been fine. But to see Rhea, it would have been better even Rhea having to overcome big bad Raquel to get the number, to get the spot to go to WrestleMania. I think all around it was a mistake to not have Raquel, at least in the final two.
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to is who wants it more, who's hungry. Because we mentioned this is WrestleMania season. We're on the road to WrestleMania, and this is where a lot of the talent, they step their game up because they want to be on the card. And I feel like you saw it from Raquel Rodriguez. She looked hungry, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
even Kiana James, she was hungry. She showed more energy, more ferocity than Tiffany Stratton. You know what I'm saying? So those two, they kind of stood out because they were hungry. They got to prove themselves, especially Kiana, who's like young, up and coming, and the fact that she was on the shelf for over a year because of a knee injury after just being called up from NXT. So that kind of stunted her growth a little bit. So she has something to prove. She has a chip on her shoulder. Raquel also the chip on her shoulder because she was also out for about a year or some change because of health reasons and
Right.
stuff like that, right? So she has something to prove. So yeah, it was a great showing from both those ladies. Yeah, I just wish Raquel probably would have, went out a little bit later in the match and stuff. That's all.
Well, there's two.
One or one.
Right. Well, there's two things I want to kind of say before we move on from the women's elimination chamber. The first is you kind of called it. You brought up on our preview show about like the women's tag team and how that will go, and we recorded that right before SmackDown that Friday, and of course then Rhea and Io lose the belts. So it was kind of and that kind of, I'm not going to say it went full top of my mind. I'm not going to lie to you or the people. It still wasn't. I still thought Tiffany was going to be the one, but it did make me go like, well, they really shifted Rhea and what she would be doing for WrestleMania by having her lose the tag team belts. So are they going to put Tiffany in and Rhea's in a weird limbo spot here? I should have fully went there. But I didn't last night. I still thought Tiffany, but it creeped into my mind when I'm like, oh, they lost the belts now. That Rhea Io thing, they're not going to go with that. And you kind of have brought that up about like, what if they lose the belts and the tag team for Friday night? I mean, for the tag team for WrestleMania, like how would that look? And Lash and Nia getting the belts, and they did it on Friday Night SmackDown. So you called it, and it connects to what we saw at the Chamber.
Yeah, I called it. I just didn't expect it to happen so soon. Like I figured that would be.
Nostradamus, that's you, man.
Yeah, you would have thought I wrote that or something like that. I didn't, by the way. I didn't. I
Hey,
didn't.
hey, you heard it here, people. You heard what he said. I didn't say it. He said.
Again, I cannot confirm nor deny any future allegations coming from my co-host
Okay,
that may
okay.
ensue. But no, I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I figured that would be something they would save for a WrestleMania moment. But hey, kudos to them for taking the chance and being unpredictable, taking the risk. That's one of those times where if you took a risk and it paid off. Kind of similar. I see a pattern because it's like similar to like when Rhea lost to Io when she lost the belt to Io last year, right before WrestleMania. This year she loses the tag team titles, but still finds her way, still finds a path to Mania. So we'll see how that plays out. And they kind of have been teasing, Rhea and Jade for a minute. Like they had like a backstage encounter or a face off,
Right, right.
fight recently. So they've been playing around with that. They also been teasing like Jade and Charlotte. So I guess before Elimination Chamber, they kind of been messing around with the idea. I guess they weren't sure which one to go with, either Charlotte or Rhea, because again, I'm sure they wanted Bianca in that position because the fantasy, the dream match is Bianca and Jade and stuff. So, but Bianca's still being out with that finger injury. They got to pivot and they got to go to option B or option C.
Let me ask you real quick. I mean, is that more of a, we haven't had a WrestleMania Bianca versus Rhea 1-on-1, which I think could main event a
Yes,
headline of
absolutely.
WrestleMania. Is that more of the showdown, fantasy showdown, or is it Bianca and Jade?
I think, well, Jade, because she came from AEW and when she was in AEW, she was getting the Bianca comparisons, and Bianca, she was like the top, I guess, black female wrestler in WWE, and Jade being the top, black female wrestler in AEW. So you got a lot of comparisons and stuff, and both look dominant. And then Jade comes over, and then her debut at the Royal Rumble 2024, their face off, and the crowd just erupts. It's like you knew, like, okay, we might be able to get it. I mean, they eventually do become a tag team, and it was set off, of course, with Naomi getting involved and attacking Jade. Naomi was like the red herring in that,
Yeah.
and we thought maybe we'll get Bianca and Jade. We'll probably circle back to that later on. But then the finger injury happens with Bianca last year at Mania. So I feel like that kind of got in the way of that. I mean, that's also a big match, and I do want to see that. But I do feel like, yes, we're long overdue for Bianca and Rhea, and I do agree with you. That could main event either night one or night two of WrestleMania. I do feel like it's long overdue for the women to main event WrestleMania period because they have main event at Mania since Bianca and Sasha, which is it's been 5 years, you know.
And
So
I don't know if they're going to do it this year.
yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't mind if Jade was a little bit further along. I wouldn't mind Rhea and Jade being the one to do it, but I don't know if they're. I think it's still if you ask me, Punk and Roman get one night. They're probably going to get Sunday night. I would think,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
They'll get the second night, Punk versus Roman. Whatever we get with the Drew McIntyre versus Randy, which we're going to talk about later on, people versus Randy Orton versus possibly Cody Raheem Rhodes, whatever kind of combo we get, I don't think needs to be a main event. It probably will be the other one, but I wouldn't be upset or think it's crazy if something else could overcome that. And I'm looking at Rhea and Jade. I'm much more intrigued to see that than they mucked it up now with whatever they're doing with Raheem. But we'll get to that later. I'm just teasing it for the people, but I'm not happy with Raheem right now. Like so, we I'd rather see Rhea and Jade headline that, man.
Yeah, I just feel like while on paper, Rhea versus Jade, that sounds awesome. And think that'd be a good spectacle to see in the ring. It's just there's not enough heat outside of like the few teases they had backstage, you know, and crossing paths. There's not enough heat there. I feel like
Think you can get there?
you can like
It's going to start this week.
yeah we still have, you know, 6 7 more weeks of build up and
Actually, it started last night at the post show. I don't know if you saw with Jade. Like, I guess she'll do is what she tweeted. And they announced on the post show with Rhea was there with Joe Tessitore, Rosenberg, our boy Big E in the United Center crowd, and they read Rhea Jade's tweet. Oh well, I guess she'll do.
okay, so
Rhea did not like that.
it's off to a nice start, you know, but we gotta see how they carry it. I think they could go, you know, because then you know Io Sky, she's kind of left in limbo now, but I can see her kind of being utilized in this story because of the relationship between her and Rhea. Like thinking last year with Jey Uso and Gunther, and how Gunther he attacked Jimmy Uso and beat him bloody. I can see something similar to that happening. You know, Jade, she pulls
Mm,
up and attacks Io Sky, beats her
that's
down so
good. I
bad,
do think that's a good one. Yeah.
puts her on the shelf because Io doesn't really have a path for Mania right now. So it still gets her involved, even though she's getting beat up, but still it gets her involved and it adds emotional weight. And now you have heat. Now it's personal. Now you have
Okay.
some heat building up for this match now.
Real quick, and then we get to the next one. Who do you think will face Nia and Lash? Who's that tag team to face them at WrestleMania?
Mm. I think it's going to end up being Charlotte and Alexa. I think they find their
I
way.
thought that too.
Yeah, because I mean, it's no other credible women's tag teams.
Raquel, and
Raquel and what Roxy?
I'm
Roxy.
wondering, do you think?
Yeah, because Liv she has Stephanie at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I get. I mean, well,
That's the only other one I can think of.
typically when they do these women's tag team title matches at Mania, it's usually like a multi-team match anyway. So
True.
I feel like it's going to be multiple tag teams in that one. I think it's going to be Alexa and Charlotte, the Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne Perez, and maybe they add one more team in there somewhere. Maybe Julia and Kiana James.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
think
hey,
that'd be I would like that better.
with the multi-team match,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that'd be interesting. That'd be really good. It kills multiple birds with one stone if you do that,
yeah,
and hopefully Lash and Nia come out on top with that. But
yeah, for sure. I feel like they need that more than anybody because you know I'm sure the favorites might be Charlotte and Alexa, but I feel like they may be teasing the breakup, so that could be an interesting swerve for Mania. You know,
true.
that could be and that could set off
I
their
just
you know going to something. But I do feel like Lash and they need that. And how about Last Legend? You know, only 2.5 months on the main roster already. You want to have the tag team champions and just killing it right now, man.
love it, man. Love seeing it, man.
Yeah,
Black
absolutely.
excellence.
Yes.
She's doing great work out there, man. And from a great Royal Rumble, and she's continued. I like what she's done with her promos. Her and Nia. You know how I feel about Nia Jax. I love Nia Jax. That's a dream guest to ever get on here. Nia Jax. She's up there. I love Nia and Lash and their chemistry, and I love seeing her so quickly get the tag team title belts. And I think they're fun to watch in the ring, but they're fun personalities. And for two like powerful ladies like that, I think it'd be a nice change of pace to let them have the belts and let them show their personalities and give them some more airtime. So I'm excited, for the women's division. I'm excited for what I'm seeing here. And I think you could have gone with Raquel, but this is a good second to have Rhea Ripley, and maybe even a good first, because I think Rhea could maybe guide Jade to having a better match than Raquel could at this point. But I am excited for the ladies' division and where it can go. Minus one thing. Minus one thing. I talked about it on our preview show, Tim Lewis. I did. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. They were in Chicago last night. I'm going to call that match what it was. It was an abomination to Obama's nation. That's what it was. It was so bad. And I called who would win. I called what would happen. Her and Phillip, her and Punk having the two belts together. I called it.
Oh
But
my
boy,
god.
Becky was wrestling. She was wrestling against the wind here. And, friend of the show, Aja, Becky did all right without a chair. Like Becky, that was one of Becky. She had to really carry that match, and I don't blame AJ Lee. It's what we said, both of us on our preview show. She needed to have more warm up matches,
Yes, yeah.
and that was clearly just Becky was doing everything out there, and really, in my opinion. How do you feel?
Well, I didn't think it was as bad as you thought it was. You said abomination. That's wild.
An abomination to Obama. They were in Chicago. That's Obama's city.
Yeah, shout out to Obama. But yeah, man, I just feel like the ring rust definitely played a part, and the fact this is her first like one-on-one match that she's had, because the previous two matches she was protected because she was in tag team matches or a multi-person melee type match with War Games and stuff. So it's like really the true test to see if she still got it, you know. But I feel like she did okay. I heard other people say that it was kind of even, where neither one was really carrying the other, where both were kind of holding their own. That's what I heard from other people. But I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was like the best match of the night though. So if I had to pick out of the four matches, this would probably be dead last. Yeah,
Probably dead last.
most likely, yes.
Was
Most
it a good
likely.
match? Okay.
It was
Was it a
okay.
good match?
It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. You know,
Was it?
it was okay.
Of all the I was drifting, I was getting tired, and I had to remind myself, well, we got two more. Like I was like, oh man, because I was like starting to fade. I did not go to sleep. I watched the whole event, but I was like, this is kind of boring here. The only thing I liked seeing Becky pull out the whatchamacallit, the arm bar and stuff. Like she was trying to, but it was more like Becky was carrying it. Becky, obviously she's stronger, more powerful than AJ Lee, and it kind of felt, I'm trying to be nice here. It felt like a lot of time she's carrying her move. It was like she was really showing her like step by step what to do. It felt like it showed like AJ. They gave the moment to her because Chicago, which I called. I told you they were going to do that,
You called it. You called it.
but it was like,
But so you called it, but do you still feel like that was the right decision though?
well, I feel like the wrong Becky AJ was not like she wasn't. She needed more. So either you should have given her more work leading up to this and saw where we were at, or then still wait, and try to get her ready for Mania for this moment.
That's how I feel. I'm just like, I get there in Chicago, but I feel like the way the story's been building, like you would have thought they would have saved this for Mania just to give her more time to kind of prepare and stuff, you know.
Because as of right now, I don't know what you're going to do. She needs to work more. Otherwise, whoever she faces with this belt, you could throw out any name. That's not going to go well.
She's definitely facing Becky again at WrestleMania. I feel like.
I don't need to see that again.
I think Becky will probably become the first three-time women's Intercontinental Champion. I feel like too.
I don't need to see that again.
What, Becky or
Becky, no, well, I'll see Becky, not Becky versus AJ. I don't want to see if that's what we're building up to.
I mean, well, Becky got to get the title back somehow,
Does she?
unless they add somebody else, make it a triple threat or something like that.
Does Becky Lynch need a belt at this point in her
No, I mean she
successful career?
at this point she's Teflon, but she does help elevate the title. You know, you need somebody with some credibility to elevate the championship.
Well, one thing AJ Lee does have is fandom. She's a fan favorite, so she does bring something to that title as far as that. Can she bring, like, can she work in the ring is the most important question.
And that's another thing too. That's why I wasn't really sure about her winning the title right now, because are we going to see her defend the title between now and Mania?
Right.
Is she going to have some preliminary matches before she
She
faces
should.
Becky? You know, because that's really going to be the test. Like I do feel like the ring rust was there, but I do feel like you can't give Becky credit for like protecting her and making her look good too. Becky did the best she could, but we gotta see more. She has to get
Okay.
her reps in basically.
Well, give me a letter grade for AJ Lee's performance last night. What would you give it?
Say it's,
Honestly,
honestly, I don't.
barely passing. In some places, D's don't pass, so I'm gonna go barely passing.
So D
Well,
or C
yeah, I'll
minus
give it. I'll give it a D. But you gave a C minus. I think that's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. She just showed the rust, and I
yeah,
like it. I am rooting for AJ Lee's comeback. I think I like what she's done as far as advocating for mental health. I love her and CM Punk's story. I root for them. So I'm an AJ fan, but I gotta call it like I see it. To myself, to you, and to the people who are watching us. That was the worst match of the night. That was not a good match, and that was clearly just set up to milk the Chicago United Center crowd. That was it. Like it was not the right decision or right choice to have her in there. It just
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah. But also, I think probably one of the, even though the match wasn't great, but it was a funny bit. Like you see Jessica Carr take a ref bump. And, it's not often you see like female referees take a bump. You know what I'm saying, like that.
Twice.
Yeah, yeah. Jessica Carr, shout out to her. She's also a former wrestler too.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm sure she was ready for that. And I like how they build like this little like side story, this rivalry with Becky and Jessica Carr, and Jessica being the former wrestler. I wonder if that's going to play a part in the future. Like, I'm not saying we need to see Jessica Carr versus Becky at WrestleMania, but
No, no.
I wonder if that's going to lead to something, because Becky keep getting in her face and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's
I
going
agree.
it's got to lead to something. But yeah,
I agree.
I thought that was probably one of the most exciting parts of the match though, with that stuff.
Yeah. And that was botched. I mean, that might have been the plan, but they had the near miss.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it was AJ. She was off cue or something like that,
Yeah.
and Becky came in too early or whatever like that. And see, that's what I'm talking about, like ring rest and stuff.
You saying it's okay. That was brutal.
That was like one spot. I mean, like I said, it's just
That's a huge spot.
yeah. I mean, it's a huge spot, but I don't know. It's like anything can happen. It's live TV. Spur of the moment, adrenaline
But at
running.
that
So
point, I'd rather you once you miss it, don't go to it because then they went to it, and I'm like,
yeah,
ugh,
yeah. They went back to it again, try to make up for it and stuff.
brutal. It's a brutal match. It's an abomination to Obama's nation. It was in Chi-Town. Come on, man. You trying to be nice because you know them personally. I'm letting you know, nah, man, you got to keep it real with them. That was brutal. I was like, I don't want to see this no more. But all right, okay. So let's get on to the next match here. This one is the one I'm conflicted about in a way
Hmm,
about how I feel about this match. This with Punk versus Finn Balor.
hmm.
I felt it was good. I felt you definitely need to see CM Punk. You need to see him to keep that flame going with Roman Reigns. You need to see him because what Chicago mean, and it is true. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a wrestler who, in recent times, but maybe ever, like you identify with a city, especially the post territory days. Where they just connect. Like you think of them in a city like CM Punk in Chicago, and I can't think of post like the territory time. I don't count territories when you think of Bruno San Martino with the Garden and stuff like that, or the Von Erichs with Dallas, Texas. That's a different time. But now I don't know, man. Like Punk in Chicago, a lot of people. I bet you even casual fans they know we're seeing what's his city, Chicago. So you had to have him there. You and I had some interesting talks in the preview show about Finn Balor. You know how Finn Balor can work. I just wonder, how'd you feel about that match?
I feel like this is a really good match. I do feel like it should have been the main event, but given what happened in the actual main event, which we'll talk about later, I mean, I can see why this kind of came in like the middle of the show. But I do feel like you could have made a case this could have closed the show, given CM
Yeah,
Punk.
I agree.
It's CM Punk's hometown, and he came in with a lot of fanfare. And the fact, not only that, he came out to the classic Chicago Bulls intro.
Yeah,
Like that was
Ray
nice.
Clay. They had Ray Clay.
Yeah, that was a nice touch right there. And of course, he had the Chicago Bulls inspired like gear a little bit, like the color scheme and
Yeah, I didn't know
design.
that was more the Bulls or the Chicago Blackhawks. So he's a big
Now
for the hockey team.
it was definitely Bulls. Like if you like look at the shorts, how they're designed and stuff like that, it was definitely Bulls. It was more Bulls. He's a Blackhawks fan too, but it was more like Chicago Bulls.
You think it's Bull? Okay, I was looking at it. I'm like that Bull, but I saw some of the color like that gold in there. I'm like that's the Blackhawks kind of have that.
I think he's probably paying homage to both. I feel like because he is a big Blackhawks fan, but I'm sure he's probably a Bulls fan too. Because why not? He's from Chicago, right?
He definitely knows MJ, and he talked about MJ even in the post show. He was talking about Michael Jordan and stuff, and Scottie Pippen and those teams.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anytime you hear the Alan Parsons Project in that song, like you know what it is, and you get chills. It's crazy. I remember watching those Bulls in the '90s and loving that song. And I know nostalgia is powerful, but I don't know why. Every time I hear it, and people of my age group hear it, it takes you to it was Chicago Stadium, then the United Center, but you get goosebumps and you know
yeah,
what it is. And I almost wish he just would have went out to that. I know his theme song, Cult of Personality, is classic, but I almost wish that was his entrance. Like you didn't need the Cult of Personality for that one.
yeah, for sure, man. It was definitely one of the most classic. It's an instant classic entrance in wrestling already, But yeah, I mean, you think of Chicago, you think of CM Punk. I mean, I think before Punk, you could probably associate Chicago with like the Road Warriors, LOD. Them being
Kinda, yeah.
from Chicago. You think of Charlotte or the Carolinas, you think of Ric Flair. Woo! Nature Boy. You think of Canada, Bret Hart. I mean, I'm sure that.
That's all. But to my point earlier, that's all territory
Yeah,
day stuff. That's why I put that out there because in the territories definitely, but post the territories from mid I want to say mid to late like definitely late '80s to present. You don't have that as much now. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that's a good one though with Brett in Canada
hmm
and Calgary especially. Like that is true.
Bret Hart, he's like a national hero up there in Canada. You know what I'm saying? And every time they go up there, they remind WWE about the Montreal Screwjob. Like you screw Bret. Like that's still they still have not forgotten about '97 Survivor Series.
No, 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 and they shouldn't. They
No,
shouldn't. But
no.
did you feel that Punk and Finn delivered?
I feel like they delivered. I feel like they delivered. It was a solid match. I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like the match in Belfast was a little bit better. I feel
A
like.
little bit better
How'd
or
you
a
feel?
lot better?
I feel like a little bit. I feel this match. This match moved a little bit slower than the one in Belfast.
They
Like,
definitely did.
yeah, like, but it was still good. Like, it was the storytelling was still there. Like, it just felt because I guess it was more personal. That's probably why. I guess just how they were building us up the last few weeks, and Finn doing the sneak attacks and stuff, and then leading to Finn, coming to his senses and shaking Punk's hand, which plants the seeds for his face turn. So we'll see how that plays out with him in the Judgment Day. And
Is it
there were some, and look, there were some key storytelling elements in here. Like I mentioned, the handshake at the end, and then Finn. There was a moment where, and Michael Cole pointed this out, where he was looking to the back and it looked like he was about to call for Dom and JD to come out, but he hesitated. But then he went back to focus on Punk and he left it alone. So
mhm?
that's like one of those key points you gotta pay attention to.
No. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely the face turns coming for Finn. It's needed for Finn. I still felt what I felt in our preview show. I don't think Finn Balor has it. I don't see him, and I think that's just what I got last night. He's a heck of a worker. Is he main event level excitement? Main event level worker where I got to watch Finn Balor and can he bring it in those storylines where I care? And when He had his face run initially, and everyone loved Finn Balor. I was like, he ain't it. He ain't it. And when I watched last night, I watched one star. CM Punk is it. He is him. And he's in the ring with somebody who doesn't have it. Not as a main event guy. Finn Balor can work in a tag team. He can work as a mid-level guy. But as a main event guy, I don't feel it for Finn Balor.
So do you feel like, based on, because his first title run, it was only 24 hours, and that was due to injury. That was out of his control. And we'll never know how that run would have went. And that was at a time when Finn was like red hot. You know what I'm saying? He coming off an amazing run from NXT, his first month on the main roster. First night, he beats Roman Reigns, clean, on Monday Night Raw. And a month after that, he beats Seth Rollins, to become the first ever WWE Universal Champion. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunate circumstances took place. He hurt his shoulder, had to relinquish the title, and he hasn't gotten back to that mountaintop since. But while you may not see the main event quality in him, do you feel like he's at least owed a title run, like a legit title run, at least? Like he could just win the title like one time, like, or one more time, I guess you could say, and just be and never win it again. But at least he has that, just to say, like, just to reward him just for his service, and and all that stuff like that.
I go to a guy we're going to talk about, I know later on a lot more, Drew McIntyre. He wasn't, and his was even crazier.
Yeah.
Injuries are expected. A global pandemic, who can predict? Maybe some people could if you're in that field, but most of us couldn't predict it. And Drew wasn't owed anything, in my opinion. Now, I think it that makes it harder to judge him in 2020 as champion because there was no crowd. It was kind of lackluster, but he wasn't owed anything. Drew climbed back, and Drew did it how? He got his character. He was better on the mic. He was better as far as dastardly, as far as like, yeah, like he made you kind of forget. Like Drew's a big dude, but in his heel run, he plays that which I think is great for when you're big, but we can lose the sight. We talk about it a lot with smaller wrestlers where they wrestle big, and rightfully so. We don't give enough credit to, we talk about it a little bit with Ernie Ladd, but like wrestlers who are big, but can be heels and be dastardly where you're like, oh, they make me, I feel like the smaller good guy can beat the crap out of that big guy. That big guy's that dastardly heel that's like got to run away and stuff. Drew's perfected that really well these past few years and has earned this spot. So to me, you got to earn it if you're Finn Balor.
Yeah.
I don't think he's owed anything right now because in Judgment Day, he got some life as a supporting cast guy, which is great. To me, he showed he's a good supporting cast guy. He has not shown he's a main event guy.
Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing. We never expected Finn to win anyway. Like, obviously, he's not going to win this. The money match is Roman and Punk. We know that's locked in no matter what. And I feel like all this was to plant the seeds for his face turn and to get back at Dom for getting one over on him last year and stealing the Intercontinental title from him. You know
But
what I'm saying?
that's my point. We knew it's not about wins and losses. It's about Raquel did not need to win
No.
to look great. Lash Legend did not win the Women's Royal Rumble to look great. In pro wrestling, it's not always about wins and losses. A lot of times it's not. So to me, I wasn't expecting, I wanted to see, is he showing me main event kind of stuff?
So even in defeat, you still weren't impressed.
No. And I do think, to your point, him not being the main event, the match needed to have more of a pace.
Yeah.
If they were the main event, you could go that, but like it hurts it compared to Belfast because it was a slower kind of pacing, and it became like when we get into the elimination chamber, when we
Yeah.
get into the next one.
Yeah. Also, is it me or does it seem like the Chicago crowd just wasn't really feeling it? Like, I know the show wasn't like grade A perfect, but do you feel like the crowd wasn't like all the way into it like they should have?
Yeah, they did well when Punk. Oh, I mean, for that match or for the whole event?
Like overall, I mean that match too, but it's like even like when Punk came out, like he got a nice pop. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they could like usually Chicago. They're like because they're considered a smart city. You know what I'm saying? Like along
Hmm.
with like Philly and New York and stuff, or Detroit, Boston, but it seemed kind of off. I don't know if it was just the difference of arena or something like that, because usually they go to All-State Arena, when they go to Chicago. But
Yeah, it used to be the Rosemont and then the Allstate.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like, I don't know, something just seemed off from the crowd. Like, even like when AJ Lee came out, they popped for her, but not like that. You know what I'm
it
saying?
wasn't the pop that I thought, and I agree. It
Yeah,
was disappointing for a
yeah,
Chicago crowd. Wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the excitement I would think. And I don't know, maybe they felt like they weren't getting the great. Like you said, it's a smart city. Were they not happy with the choices? Were they not happy with certain things? I don't blame them. I feel like the loudest pop I felt was in the main event, but when Seth Rollins appeared,
yeah. That
I
was
felt like
definitely
that was the loudest pop of the night.
that was definitely one of them. The other one was when Trick Williams made his entrance, and the whole
They did, yes.
yeah, and man, he's super over right now.
He's really over. He
Super.
really is.
You want to get to that, or you want to talk about the whole box situation?
No, we can get to, what box situation we going to talk about? The
Remember the whole mystery crate and the Dan Halson debut and stuff like that.
that that was terrible.
Pretty much. Enough said.
That was truly like I almost thought this was it was a like an ode to the Shockmaster or something. Like they were trying to do a wink wink because it was just so bad. And I do think that took the crowd out of it.
Yeah, I think that definitely killed the vibe for sure. I was gonna say gobbledygooker.
Gobbledygooker's one of them too.
Look, don't get me wrong. Like, I heard of Dan Halson. Like, I know he's, like, I guess, somewhat known in the indies. He might be a big deal. I'm not too familiar with his work, but I know AEW, they brought him in and they tried to do something big with him, but they weren't really using him, which is weird because it's like,
I wonder why.
so it's like, but then you have people say, well, Dan Halson's good. He's cool. It's like, he's funny. He's like, I guess, like R Truth 2.0. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that's
So
not how you introduce him.
yeah, I just feel like his character, and a lot of characters, they don't really translate well to like the main roster, at least for WWE. Like, his character would be better suited in NXT. I feel like they sh- they
Well,
should have.
because I do feel, and we're not to be too sidetracked, but it connects. I think WWE is different. It's like the other promotions, for better or for worse, how you like them. They're about like just in the ring, and they're not. They don't focus as much to me on the production, and they don't focus on storylines like WWE. To me, is about production and storyline way more than I don't want to say more, way more than the wrestling, but more than the wrestling. I feel, which I think there's a lot of people who don't like that. I go up and down with it. There's times I like it. I like that they get that storytelling matters. But I think that's to your point why on NXT it fits because it's more grounded. Where WWE is bigger, so you got to do it right. I'm not saying everything has to be big because that was big, but it was wrong. You
Yeah.
have to have the right timing. You got to introduce it the right way with storytelling when you go to WWE compared to AEW or other promotions. It's just a different vibe, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fans, at least in the crowd, just based on what we're hearing, of course, online too. Like, I think a lot of people are just disappointed because they were expecting like something bigger, right, or somebody else. It could be anybody else, but I think people were disappointed because they thought, maybe it was Chris Jericho, who who's been speculated to make his return to WWE for like the past several months, but
Hmm.
apparently he's still under contract with AEW because his contract may be frozen. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that situation, but that's one of the things I think people were disappointed by because they were expecting Jericho to come back. But I do think his character would have gotten over better in NXT because you can get away with experimenting on things a lot more. Just to real quick side to like Tony D'Angelo, I'm gonna use him as an example. He just came back before he was like this mob boss, like this Don Corleone type mob boss character, and then he came back and he changed his character up. Now he's like this vigilante, like a Frank Castle, like Punisher type. So it's like more grounded now. Whereas the mob boss thing was more like cartoonish. Like you could see that happen in like the new generation era or something like that. That would get over then. But I guess they're getting ready to call him up because that mob boss character, I don't know if that would translate well to the main roster with the mainstream, audience and stuff. I'm not sure if it may get over. I don't know, but that's why I feel like Dan Housen, it's like hit or miss because it's like sometimes they like the goofy stuff, sometimes they don't. In AEW he was getting reactions, but the thing is they weren't using them, and I think that's also what hurt him too. The fact that he wasn't used, because there are a lot of WWE fans that do watch AEW too.
Mm-hmm.
So when people come over from AEW, they already know who they are because they've been featured, right?
Right, right.
But because they weren't using Danhausen, I think that also hurt him as well. I feel
Mm.
like they should went another way or use somebody else or just not did it at all. You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you.
yeah,
I hear you. So, but either way, it was a dud.
yeah, it was terrible.
Dud debut. He can still bounce back,
He can.
but it was not a good way to start for Danhausen. But we get to the meat of the potatoes, the thing that I want to talk about the most, because there's just so much to talk about with the men's Elimination Chamber, the main event of Elimination Chamber 2026. They made the swerve move that I talked about. I predicted you need Logan Paul in there.
I text you that too. I text you that too. I was like, you got your wish, man. You got your wish.
And was I wrong? Or were they wrong, Tim Lewis?
Looking at the match and how it flowed, like they definitely made the right call.
He was doing what Raquel was doing in the women's before the stuff started happening. Logan Paul looked good.
Yeah.
And you know what? When he pinned LA Knight's chances of being a main event guy went 1-2-3-2. I was like, he's just not it.
And of course, the botch right before that didn't help either. Like, oh man, it's just a bad. I feel bad for the guy because it's like, if you go back and watch that episode of WWE Unreal where he missed the spot in the ladder match, like, and Triple H is kind of give him a good talking to, and you see a look on his face, it's like, I feel bad for the guy, man. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to bounce back from that. Like, especially a botch that visible and that bad. Like, usually some botches you can kind of hide and kind of like work around that, but yeah, man, it's like, and I've seen him do that move plenty of times, and he hits it every time. So for people wondering, like, oh, if a wrestler, if they mess up a move one time, like, oh, he's trash or whatever, like, he missed it one time. And plus, you gotta remember, professional wrestling is not easy. Like, what they do in the ring,
It's so hard.
you know what I'm saying? And they only got one. It's not the movies. You don't get like 35 takes. You only get one chance. It's live TV. It's thousands of people in the audience. It's a lot of pressure, and he's hit that move plenty of times, and I've only seen him legit mess up that one time, but it just had to be in like one of the biggest matches probably of his career, with a big opportunity on the road to WrestleMania at that, where the most eyes are on the product, seeing what's going to happen. And it just came at a bad time. Now, if this happened like a random SmackDown, a random Raw, people forget about it probably, but the fact this is on a PLE, yeah, yeah, man, it sucks for him. And I think they probably called it in the ring to kind of get him out a lot early. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like after that, it's like it's no coming back from that. So I feel like I think they made a audible to kind of get him out there. So yeah.
It was tough. It was tough to watch, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know how many chances. Never say never, but I'm like, in this iteration as LA Knight, I don't see him getting to that main event.
Yeah, and he's already like in his 40s. Like, he's not getting any younger, so I can imagine like opportunities are already slim as it is. So yeah, man, it's scary hours right now for LA Knight.
It really is, but it was interesting to see the Logan Paul effect and to see him going in there and doing work. Do you still not see it? You were hesitation on it in the preview show, but now that we have last night was the event. Do you still not see that Logan Paul's a star, man?
No, I've been saw the potential. I just didn't feel like, I'm just like, how he fit in this match. You know what I'm saying? But I see it though. I've been saw the potential. Like, I gave him credit, even on our podcast, like, like, hey, he's got potential. He could be a star. And he looks like he could be a career heel, because I don't know how you can get him over as a face, given, his antics in real life and stuff like
That's
that.
fine.
But the dude, he is cut for the business. And you could tell he's taking it seriously. Like, he even signed a full-time deal, because you see him, he's on TV every week. So, and he's getting better in the ring. He's already nice before, but he's getting better every single week. He's with Paul Heyman, so he's getting that knowledge from Heyman and stuff like that, getting that free game from him. And at this point, it looks like, with half of the division already being out of commission, like, it looks like it's going to end up being Seth Rollins and Logan Paul.
Absolutely. Which would be huge. We had that before.
Yeah, we had that before.
But I think it's different. I think Logan Paul's even better.
Yeah.
I just look at it like I'm grateful for that. But that match was kind of a dud. And just, I guess, trying to get these swerves here.
It was a lot going on.
A lot way too much going on. How did you feel about Seth coming back and doing the stomp to Logan Paul? But also, how did you feel about how they executed that?
I feel like Seth coming back is probably the worst kept secret in the business right now because we knew eventually he was coming back.
Yeah.
But it sucks for him because he's busting his ass trying to get back, trying to rehab, get back in shape, get back for Mania, and then like his main rivals, are injured. They're on the sidelines, so
It does stink.
it's like, what do you do? And it's like now you got to feud with a guy that you kind of already feuded with, but you don't really have any heat because Logan Paul wasn't there when they attacked Seth. He wasn't in the group at the time yet.
I
So
see how you can make it because he's still with Heyman
yeah,
and Heyman with the Seth thing. So then I see how you can do something with it, but you're right. It's just bad breaks all around.
yeah, like right now it doesn't seem like it's any heat, but we gotta see what happens, on Raw. At the time we're recording this is Sunday, so we'll see what happens on Raw tomorrow night and see what happens with that and how they branch off of that going into WrestleMania. But the reveal is like we knew it was going to happen. He got a nice pop. I did like the touch of having his students because he does own a wrestling school in Iowa and stuff. So I like that touch of having the students play decoys as the masked man. So that was like a nice touch, and him coming from underneath the chamber and then sneaking in behind the ref's back after Trick got eliminated. Like that was cool. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was better executed, even though we knew it was happening. I thought it was better executed than the Dan Housen thing. I thought that was better. Way better than that. So
You know what bothered me with this match? You called Randy Orton. Did you call him as the
yeah,
winner?
yes,
And that was huge. You
yes,
did call that, and I give you props. I liked Randy Orton winning.
yeah. That's,
I didn't. Did we need Drew McIntyre? Well, my thing is this. What stinks is with Drew McIntyre interfering, that's bad to me that Nick Aldis and Drew McIntyre after the event and then on the post show gave me the best, most realistic, like interesting altercation of the whole night was the general manager and Drew McIntyre, who isn't scheduled to be in the ring, and the GM and their heated altercations backstage, and Nick Aldis going on the post show, interrupting Joe Tessitore and company, and taking the mic and announcing it'll be Drew versus Cody for the belt on SmackDown, and then Drew coming out and they're going face it, and Nick Aldis taking off the jacket like he's gonna. I keep forgetting how big Nick Aldis is because he's right there with Drew. I'm like, oh yeah,
he's jacked. He's
yeah.
jacked.
I'm like, he's pretty big too. I keep forgetting that times. I'm just like, that's a bad sign to me though. That clearly overtakes the match. The match was a dud too.
It has some cool spots in it. It's just as far as like the women, I do feel like the women's chamber was definitely a little bit better. I do feel like the women they outperformed the men in this case right here.
Again. Again.
They outperformed the Rumble too, didn't they?
In my opinion, absolutely they
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So the women they got it back to back. Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on, but it was some cool moments. But yeah, the biggest takeaway was that is what happened after the match, the post show. You know what I'm saying with Drew and Aldis, and you kind of make a case like if Drew wasn't the champion, like I would like to see Aldis get back in the ring and tango up with Drew. Like that
I
could
would too.
he's still in shape as we can see. Like
And yeah, I guess because they see him in different angles. I forget how big he was. Like Drew's like a legit 6'5",
yeah,
and Nick Aldis looked like he was 6'4", if not 6'5". He looks right there with him. So and they looked into and Drew does that. I do like the angle because Drew keeps interfering, so I get it. But I'm like,
that's what it
it's
is.
so that was cool. Like to use that and to get Drew gets like put in a bad spot again. He's his own worst enemy. I like that angle, but the match being such a dud to me, like I want that to be in addition to, not outshining the match, and then also a real crappy way to keep your Godfather Cody Raheem Rhodes involved. And look at, I mean, if this doesn't prove it, you got to do all these shenanigans to keep him relevant in the main event. What will, Tim? When will you stop being in denial? When will you stop? Cody Raheem Rhodes, a good dude, good man, but come
Well,
on, man.
well,
Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre is fine. Why
well.
do we have to have now Cody involved and what are we gonna switch it to make it a Cody versus Randy thing, which would be the worst?
I mean, they have history though, and they were planning that originally, like a couple years back.
God, that's so boring.
They have history.
What history? Did they
Legacy,
know each other?
legacy.
If they're friends, I don't care about that. I'd much rather see, if you give me an option, Drew and Randy. Randy going for 15. Randy, and he said at the post show, that was cool. I'd much rather watch that, or I'd much rather, I guess, actually, no, I wouldn't much rather, but to have a triple threat match, then fine. Um, but I definitely don't want Cody and Randy.
Well, here's what I can see happening. So like you said, Drew is his own worst enemy because he keeps interfering because he's so hell bent on preventing Cody Rhodes from getting another title opportunity.
Yeah, he should be looked at as an angel. You know what I'm saying? That's how we should look at him.
You,
Thank you. I don't want to see it either.
you mean a demon, but
No, an
anyway.
angel, an angel. I don't want to see that either, Drew. Like I'm on your side. Stop it. Like let's just what are we doing?
But I mean, you see where the story's going. Like he's doing anything possible to keep Cody out of the title picture, away from WrestleMania, and it's actually going to end up being his own detriment because, and also it's affecting other people too because he also cost Jacob Fatu an opportunity. So you got that linger in the background too. And then there's Sami Zayn, which I'm not sure what they're going to do with him, but he's also lingering in the background in the title picture. So it could either be a triple threat or it could be a fatal four way, or we could see a fatal five way, which has never been done for the WWE title at Mania. I mean, we've seen regular 1-on-1, we've seen triple threats, we've seen a fatal four way before at WrestleMania for the title, but never a fatal five way. So that could be interesting, but it is kind of
Fatal
hard.
five way with the three of them. Jacob Fatu.
Sammy.
Nah,
I
I'm
mean,
good.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to promote and hard to book. Like, I think the most they might do is a fatal four way. I feel like because I can see Sammy, feuding or facing Trick Williams at Mania because they've been building up some tension the last few weeks and they haven't faced each other yet. So I can see that being a possibility for
Yeah,
Mania.
Sammy and Trick is there.
Yeah,
It should be a good match.
yeah. If Trick isn't involved in the United States Championship picture, I could see him facing Sammy. That would be a good rub for him. And that could also build up for Sammy going to WrestleMania for next year when they're in Saudi. So I do see a fatal four way. Drew, like I feel like the title match because Randy he's already locked in, but I see a title match is going to be Cody and Drew. But because he still wants a piece of Drew and all this total weight, I feel like Jacob's going to get involved. He's going to cause a no contest or DQ, and that's going to cost Cody again. But since Cody didn't do anything and he got robbed again, I feel like he's going to get another shot, and Jacob's going to get a shot because he also wants a piece of Drew, and that's how we get the fatal four way. I feel like that's how we get there.
This is too much here. This is too much, man. This is just too much.
I mean, you can't keep one of your top guys out the main events for too long. It's like what else is
Who?
Cody?
Cody's been in the main event. He's been boring.
Yes, and you know what? I would have been fine with him sitting out, but based on how the story's built, I can also see how they can also incorporate him into the title picture and make it make sense just because of Drew's actions as of late. So I can see that too.
Of the three of them, Drew needs to stay. And I think Drew and Randy. So the only way this can be okay with Cody being involved a little bit is a triple threat match. And I still don't like it, but it could be okay. But Drew and Randy have way more relevance and way more intrigue right now than Cody does.
Yeah, and Drew and Randy faced each other before too.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good, a great matchup. You know, you're gonna get a hell of a match with
Yeah.
Drew and Randy.
And fun fact,
Cody can work.
yeah, and fun fact, the last time Randy won the title, won the WWE title, he beat Drew McIntyre for it.
Hmm.
So and that was during like the Thunderdome era, with no fans. So, I think it means more. That's why I said Randy because I feel like it means more for him because his last title run was in front of no fans, basically, same as Drew. So
Just say same as Drew,
yeah,
but
yeah,
to connect to the main event though, too much was going on.
yes, I agree.
And you look at what the women did; you didn't have all that stuff. You still had a great, entertaining match. Minus the opener. From then on, it just took off and it was exciting. The men, it was just like, boy, to me, it's like, are you trying to compete with last year?
That's what it was. That's what it was. I feel like
Or are you just not believing in the talent here? Because let you to me, you could have one interference thing, and I don't know which one you would choose. I'm not sure which one I would choose. Whether Seth coming back and all his things, or Drew interfering. You need one. Having two, and the way Seth's went with the the kid from the wrestling school and all that. It was just too much stuff, man. It was not it was
Yeah,
sloppy elimination chamber for the
yeah,
men.
yeah. I will say this. I do feel like Javon Evans, I do feel like this was, a coming out and showing out party for him, just to show what he can do, and that is a big opportunity for, especially someone as young as he is,
For
like
sure.
to main event and headline a PLE. He's only 21 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's already main event in the PLE. And sharing the ring with top guys like Randy Orton. And Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm saying? And one of his peers, Trick Williams, who came up with NXT. So definitely a great opportunity for him. I was a little bit worried about that one spot. Like it looked like Logan Paul may have dropped him on his head a
I
little bit.
wonder too.
I was worried about. It. I was like, I hope I mean, nothing's come out yet, but I hope he's okay.
It looked like
Yeah,
it could be bad.
yeah. I hope he's okay. I haven't heard any reports yet, but hope for the best, and hopefully he's not out. Hasn't got a concussion or
Yeah,
broken
I've
neck.
I've been meaning to check that too because
Yeah,
that was one spot I saw that looked like.
yeah, because he's one that definitely has like a bright future ahead of him, and I definitely want to see more of him for sure. So that would be a shame if he got injured this soon after being
Yeah,
called up.
hopefully it's okay. You're right. I haven't done as much check. I think you probably checked it more than I have, but I haven't seen anything come out yet. And hopefully, fingers crossed, he is fine. That's the thing with wrestling. Sometimes they make you it doesn't look as bad as it looks on TV or in person. And then sometimes there's injuries where you're like, I didn't even see anything.
Yeah,
And then there's the obvious ones where everyone knows, ooh, that's not how it's supposed to go.
yeah.
So you get those kind of injuries, like you don't. Sometimes you completely it looks routine, and then a bad injury happened. This one looked bad, but maybe that was part of it. I did you see because the cameras for WWE they're trained to kind of go away from that so like I wanted to see more how he like exited the ring and how it looked. Like I don't know if you got anything about that.
I mean, it looked like he when he got up, he walked out on his own power. So it looks like he's okay initially, but I don't know how bad or how severe it was when he got back to the trainer's room. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not trying to like say Logan Paul did that intentionally,
No,
you
no,
know,
no, no, no.
but accidents do happen.
Like you mentioned earlier, it's a tough business.
Yeah, just like we mentioned with LA Knight when he botched the top rope flying elbow, like, hey, those things they can happen anytime, you know what I'm saying? And I think they even said like Finn Balor like slipped off that same rope that LA Knight did, so maybe sometimes they don't wipe the ropes down like they should, and the work,
Right.
from the previous match, they're like all sweaty and stuff, so people can slip, But I feel like for LA Knight, in his case, I think he should from this point forward, he should focus on more like ground attacks, get away from like the high flying moves. He has another move that he does where he like leaps onto the top rope and catches somebody and suplexes them, which that looks cool. And he hits that 9 times out of 10. And I think he botched that move one time before too. But I think that happened like on a random Raw, so people don't really remember that as much.
It's just looking like some. I mean, as far as this iteration of LA Knight, it looks like he we were looking at 2022, 2023 about he's rising is his time and then he's never quite gotten over the hump. He still has a popularity when you hear that music, fans get hype, but I just feel like as this iteration that when I say that to people, that doesn't mean like he can never get it back. I'm just thinking this LA Night run that we've had the past few years, that might be over where like he's not going to get that number one spot. Like he missed it.
So you feel like he should go away for a minute and maybe make a character change or something?
If he wants to go for number one spot, yes. I don't know how you feel. I think last night was the final straw.
And going back to the Unreal episode where he missed the spot in the ladder match, and then last night with the botch and everything. Yeah, man, you only get so many chances in this business, and age and time is not his best friend either. He's already like up there, his early 40s. So
Yeah.
and it's all about the youth movement now. You got people like they're young and hungry, like Javon Evans coming up, like Trick Williams. They're young, they're hungry, they want it. And you got to make the most of your opportunities while you have them. You know what I'm
Obi,
saying?
got Obi,
The Obafemi as well.
So you got some guys there who are popular, getting that push, and you're in a weird spot where you still got the people who are established, still not giving up. The Punks and Roman and Seth, Cody. Like they're not giving up, and Randy Orton
Yeah.
not giving up these spots easy. Now I think they're learning from Cena too. They're here to mentor the youth, but like the youth is not LA Knight. That's Trick, that's Javon, that's other guys. So LA Knight's in a weird limbo here that he needs to. He's him and Finn Balor are in weird. They're different, but they're similar to me.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like Finn is at least in a better spot, because I mean, I know he also had like a little mishap on the ropes too, but not as bad as LA Knight. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, yeah.
So I feel like Finn, he'll be okay. LA Knight, I think he needs to take a second to kind of like figure out and reevaluate his character and figure out what he needs to do. And also maybe change up his ring style too. Like leave the top rope stuff to like the smaller guys. Leave that to like Javon Evans. Leave that to like the luchadors. Leave that to them, and just focus on more like ground attacks. Because Randy Orton even said like he used to do those high flying aerial maneuvers when he was younger, but then he realized he's like, no, I gotta get away from that. He wants to preserve his body. Like you don't need to do all that. So you see, it works in his favor. So
I just got one more thing to say to ask you.
yeah.
When you watched that match, I don't know how many times you've watched a chamber match from last night. If you take Cody Raheem Rhodes out that match, is the story really much different? Let's say Jey Uso's in there and Cody, God forbid, like he got hurt or something came out, he couldn't do it. You're not missing anything from what happened. Logan Paul was needed. Randy Orton was needed. Seth Rollins was needed. Drew McIntyre was needed. Cody Rhodes was not really needed to tell that story last night.
Well, if you say Drew McIntyre was needed, if Cody Rhodes is not in the match, then Drew McIntyre he stays put. He doesn't even interfere. So
He could interfere with Randy Orton.
he doesn't
They
really.
have history,
Yeah,
and then
they have history, but that's cooled down. So it's not as tense as him and Cody right now. At least not at the moment.
not
So
as tense, but still, you could still get away with that, and you'd be fine.
I can see now. I guess if Jacob Fatu was in this match, I could see Drew interfering because he also has some beef with Jacob Fatu recently.
Okay, so throw in Fatu. I said Jey Uso just because that was who was going to be in it.
Yeah,
If you put in Fatu,
yeah. If it was Jacob, I could see Drew McIntyre being in there and being
either way, that's a bad sign for a guy who you and others are claiming is a top dog, where they're just a layer. He's has equal importance to Trick and Javon Evans in the story of last night's Elimination Chamber. That's a problem to me if you're the main event guy.
I think they're doing something with Cody where I think we'll probably see him unravel these next few weeks going to Mania because in the post show they mentioned like he wasn't his usual self, and usually like after the match he'll greet the fans, sign autographs, kiss babies.
I heard Jackie say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he looked a little depressed and whatnot. He was like all sad. So we might
Because
see.
he's getting whooped.
I mean,
They did that for WrestleMania last year when he lost to Cena.
yeah, and go also to address that. Like I feel like you mentioned they were doing too much. Like I do feel like they were. I agree. They were trying to like recapture that magic from last year's chamber because last year was such a pivotal moment into the road to WrestleMania and getting people hyped, and they were trying to capture that, but they were really doing too much. Whereas last year, the chamber like you talk about how the post show kind of took away from the match. Like think about that post show moment with Cena turning heel after the chamber match. The chamber match that was just as awesome as the heel turn, which came right after. So you had both those moments that complemented each other and stuff and led into each other. It didn't take away from anything.
Exactly.
Unlike, with the post show and stuff like that. But I don't think Cody, him being involved, you definitely need Drew for that. You know what I'm saying? Without him, you don't get Drew interfering and stuff like that. All you need at that point is Seth Rollins interfering and costing Logan, just for the sake of continuing the Vision storyline like that.
Which is fine,
Yeah.
but that's my point. Cody is not what main event. Okay, with The Rock or Stone. I'm not saying Cody has to be these guys. I'm not trying to compare, but just whoever, Cena, Punk, even Roman. You can't be in a triple threat or whatever kind of scenario, and you're not important to the story. Like that's a bad sign.
He is.
He's
He's
not
the
really.
the
He's a
main the he's been one of the main characters in this story for the WWE titles since he lost it last January. Like one of the main stipulations was that if he lost, he doesn't get an automatic rematch against Drew. So that's why he's jumping through the hurdles. That's why he had to go to the Royal Rumble. Drew cost him the Royal Rumble, caused him to get eliminated. and he qualified for the chamber. Drew almost cost him to even qualify for the chamber. You know what I'm saying? But he ended up costing Jacob Fatu instead. And then he finally, you know, plays a hand and costs him the Elimination Chamber match. You know what I'm
You
saying?
got to
So,
see what I'm saying. Like, it's Drew doing all the work. Cody is boring and not. He's an afterthought.
but he's still a main cog in the story though.
He's a part of the story, but guess what? That match last night, you could take him out and you wouldn't miss a beat. You just said it yourself. Jacob Fatu's in there. You don't miss a beat. Randy Orton, you can't say that about. Logan Paul, you cannot say that about. Cody Rhodes, you can. And the most best stuff of the night was Nick Aldis doing it. And now Cody gets like the assist because he gets to be in it still. But what did Cody have to do with any of that? That kept it exciting? Nothing. That was Nick Aldis doing a great acting job and getting riled up backstage with Drew, and Drew did good. And Nick Aldis carrying it to the post show, and Drew carrying it, and they had to be separate. So Cody gets the benefits of that, but he's not a part of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like Cody's riding waves, and it keeps going back to what I always say about him. Everything else around him has to step it up to elevate him. He doesn't do the elevating.
Like I said, we're about to see Cody unravel these next few weeks, and also keep in mind they still haven't solved the mystery of who attacked Jacob Fatu and knocked his teeth out last fall. So I feel like Cody, he's still like a prime suspect. I don't know where they're gonna go with that, but the fact they
He
still,
needs something.
yeah, I mean,
He needs it.
he does. And look, I even said like I was fine with him sitting out the main event or at least the WWE title picture, at least for this year. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fine with that, but the story is interesting enough to where they can make it make sense and have like a big swerve either before or at WrestleMania with Cody. So I feel like we're gonna see him unravel. I feel like,
He's got to. He's
yeah,
got to.
yeah, he needs it for sure, just to kind of keep himself fresh and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
fresh and relevant.
He's still over, but just to keep himself fresh, because I do feel like there was one point in the match where he was about to eliminate Trick, and Trick, knowing how over he is right now, if he eliminated Trick, oh yeah, they definitely would have turned on him right there. Logan Paul kind of did him a favor by getting him out the way and picking up the scraps, so it kept the heat on Logan and stuff like that. Even though Trick is a heel himself, but Logan Paul he did Cody a favor on that one. So
Exactly. Logan Paul, he's my second MVP. Raquel's number one of the whole night, and then number two is Logan Paul for me.
I'll give him that. I'll give him
And
that.
a tie for third, which is backwards as hell, is Drew McIntyre and Nick Aldis, who have nothing to do with the matches, like, which is a problem. It's a problem. You know I'm right on that, and you know I'm right on Cody Raheem Road.
All I know is when Cody turns heel and he becomes a monster heel on the level like what Drew's doing right now, he's putting out some great work. Don't come jump on the bandwagon. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna be real. If he's doing good work, I keep it real with you and the people.
Because remember, you
That's what
had
Deremy Dove does.
you had the same sentiments about Drew McIntyre back in 2020, or 2021.
I was right. I don't think I was wrong. He did not do well in that time, and I said it back then. It stinks. It's hard to. One thing you can give him is the pandemic, but he did not have a great championship run as a babyface. He turned it around. I mean,
I
history's on my side.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's hard to say when there's no fans. You can't really determine the reaction, and he would have got because
But
he was getting reactions like when they were teasing the face turn leading to the Rumble of that year. Like
he was.
he was getting over, and
But
I feel like he would have did a lot of great things if he
I
had
don't
an
hold it.
opportunity. Yeah,
I'm not saying he was bad, but we did see performers thrive in that time. We mentioned Bianca Belair. We can mention a Bailey. We can mention the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. So there were performers who did shine without the fans being present. I'm not saying that this to be held against Drew's title run back in 2020, but I think we both can agree he was not one of those performers who shined in the pandemic era either.
yeah. Now, were there people that did better than him? Yeah, but I do feel like to his credit, he did the best he could with what he got. I do feel like, you know.
Yeah. I think history's on I always say the one variable I would never slam it because the pandemic happened and who could predict that? I mean, hell, even his WrestleMania win was affected by the pandemic. So I mean, I can't blast him at all for that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was wrong in that he needed. It's not going well. You need to go back to being a heel and work on your craft and get better. That's what the man did. I love me some Drew now. I
Yeah.
love me some Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like the heel turn was probably the best thing that could have. I mean, I enjoyed his face run, but I do feel like this is like peak Drew McIntyre right here. We're witnessing like prime Drew McIntyre right now, and he's putting out his best work and stuff. So, and I hope he. I don't know what's going to happen at Mania, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I would like to see him go on a run and have a nice run with it, but if Randy does get number 15, I wouldn't be mad at that either. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. We'll
Absolutely.
see what happens. I'm excited either way. I'm looking forward to seeing how they can rebound and bounce back, from the chamber that was kind of like lackluster, so to speak.
No, I agree. I agree. And everyone, please subscribe, like, give us comments on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to our podcast episodes on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's separate than our YouTube channel. We probably will be merging them soon, but like that right now they're separate. And you can listen. We had our episode on Ernie Ladd, and we also had our episode on greatest black wrestlers of all time. And this coming Thursday, you will hear us talk about the legendary Trish Stratus versus Lita rivalry. So kicking off Women's Month, we're talking Trish Stratus versus Lita and the impact and legacy of that important rivalry in WWE. So please subscribe, like, follow us on Instagram and Twitter/X at TLC Wrestling Pod. Any suggestions, ideas, comments, concerns, you can email us tlcwrestlingpod@gmail.com. So for my tag team partner, Mr. Tim Lewis, I'm Deremy Dove. Thank you guys for watching Tables, Ladders, and Conversations.